Okay, so I wanted to talk through number 3 on the review. I'm working on the answer key for your review sheet, and I was cruising along, and everything was great. And then I realized that the way that I didn't have enough space to finish answering all of this on number 3, so I'm jumping down to this page 4. But then I don't really love the notation that I'm using. So I want to talk you through my rationale, post this video for you, because I was going to write you this nice long note, and I thought, you know what, let me just explain what's happening here. So what's happening is that we've got all sorts of open circles. So like if you notice in here, it's going from -4 is less than x, which is less than 2. So my function is never going to actually be defined at -4. Okay, so we're going to have an open circle. So when I come over here and say, oh, f of -4 is equal to 0, that is a false statement. And so I don't like writing that. What really is happening, and when you get into calculus, we could say that the limit as x approaches -4 from the, I haven't taught calculus in a long time. If it's approaching from the right, it's a positive of the f of x. This would actually be equal to 0. Calculus teachers, I'm really sorry. I just forgot if that's plus or minus. I think it's a positive. Pre-cal, don't worry. We're going to teach this to you later. But technically, this, you'll learn that in calculus. This notation right here with f of -4 is equal to 0 is not accurate because it's not defined there. But I was trying to show you my thought process and everything that was happening. Hang on, I'm going to get rid of all this. My thought process was, okay, well, here's a parabola that I need to graph, and so I want to plug in where I start and where I stop. Okay, notice that those are going to be open circles for both of those. I want to plug those in, and then I want to think about, okay, this I know to be a parabola that opens down, and I know that it had a scale change right here, and then it shifted up. So I know that its vertex is at the point 0, 8, which I wrote over here. So that's what I did, and then I plugged in a few other points. I plugged in where it started, I plugged in -4, I knew that to put an open circle there. I plugged in a +2, which is where it's ending. And that's how I got those two open circles, this one here and that one there. I've used its vertex and kind of got a sense of its shape. So that was my train of thought, and so everything in green, all the green pen that I used was for that one. Then the next thing that I did was I came along in red and did the second part. So this little line right here, well, so it's not defined, it is defined at 2, but it's not defined at 4. So this one right here is actually a false statement because that equation isn't defined at 4. But I plugged in those points so that I could get the shape of, and I knew it was a line, so then I plugged in those points and I graphed and I was done. I did the same thing with the blue one, and came along and plugged in 4, plugged in 6, but I knew that I needed open circles. So these, how many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things are actually false statements but that's the location of a hole. So I'm not going to ask you to do that on a question or on a quiz, and I don't really want you to write it this way. But I wanted to show you my thought process and how I was graphing all of this. So then the next thing that I needed to do, I didn't answer this question right here, or questions, and I didn't do this. So let me talk through that. Okay, so f of 1. Well, what is f of 1? I can come over and look at 1. Notice it's going to be the green. It's on the green, so I can come up to this equation, and it's a -1/2 times 1 squared plus 8, which is 1 squared is 1, -1/2. Okay, so it's 7.5, which is, well, 7.5, or you could tell me that it's 15/2. I would say use one of those notations. I mean, you can say 7.5, but we prefer that sort of one of those when we get into to Honors PreCal. So mixed numbers are kind of annoying. I mean, they make sense when you go to talk money or I don't know, whatever. But like, there's a reason they teach it to you in middle school, but there's also a reason we move away from it in pre-cal. Okay, so I'm just going to take that off the answer key. So there's the answer to that first one. And then we want f of 4. And that's going to be equal to, well, f of 4, oh, there is no value. Notice it's not defined. F of 4, we could say it does not exist. There is no y value for when x is equal to 4. Okay, and then the next one, they say f of x equals 2. Well, so I'm going to come along here and think, okay, well, when we're equal to 2, I'm going to have this value here and this value there. So I need to take the green equation, -1/2 x squared plus 8, and I need to set that equal to 2. When I do, I have a -1/2 x squared, subtract 8, that gives me -6, multiply by both sides by -2, multiply by -2, I don't know, whatever my notation is. X squared is now equal to 12. And so, sure enough, that doesn't really look like a nice, pretty number. You see how that's intersecting somewhere between -3 and -4. Actually, okay, well, so here is what I was thinking. I realized that the square root of 12 is not a nice, pretty number. But if you remember from the cheer, we say square root, plus minus. And so x is equal to plus or minus root 12, which would be plus or minus, that's 4 times 3, so the square root of 4 is 2 root 3. So we have x is equal to plus or minus 2 root 3, but the positive one would be somewhere over here, which I don't want to draw. And so I really only, well, in this problem, I only need the negative. So I'm going to have x is equal to -2 root 3. That's this value right here. Okay, then I'm trying not to clutter up my answer key too much because I'm about to post this. Then the other thing is that it also was equal to that red line. So the red line, we had this 3x minus 5 is equal to 2. Solving that, I have 3x is equal to 7. I have x is equal to 7/3. So when they say find x, when f of x equals 2, we can say when x equals 7/3 or -2 root 3, f of x equals 2. Okay, so some way of, that's some way, you need to answer that question in some capacity. So there's that answer. Then the next thing they wanted is domain and range. Let's go with purple. So the domain, we're going to start at -4, but we don't include -4. We're cruising along, everything is good until we get to 2. We have discontinuity, but we're still defined at 2, so we're still fine. At 4, I have an open circle here and an open circle here, so we're gonna, oh, you couldn't see what I was doing because you couldn't see my hand. So we go from -4, I was cruising along this way, and then we picked it up again here and kept going. What did I want to get rid of? Oh, I don't know what I'm getting rid of. Okay, my bad. So basically it goes from -4 to 4, and then we don't have anything defined at 4, so then we're going to pick it up again and go from 4 to 6. Sorry, I don't know why that looks funny. And then we need to look at the range. We go as low as -6, but it's not equal to -6. We cruise on up to -2 in the blue right here. And then we have a gap until 0, but we're not equal to 0. And then we go as high as 8, and we are equal to 8. And so that's our domain and range. I'm going to go back and finish the rest of this review sheet for you. And if I think that there's something else that I need to talk through for you, I will. Otherwise, hopefully this will be helpful. All right, keep practicing.